There is a pattern so consistent, so widespread, and so quietly accepted among adults over 65 that it has become one of the defining assumptions of what aging feels like from the inside. The pattern is this: every year, sleep gets a little shorter, a little lighter, a little less reliable. What was once 7 or 8 hours of deep, uninterrupted rest becomes 6 hours, then 5.5. Then a fragmented collection of shallow sleep periods interrupted by awakenings that come earlier and earlier each morning, until the person finds themselves lying fully awake at 4 a.m., 4:30, or 5 with no possibility of returning to sleep, and no understanding of why their body has decided, apparently unilaterally, that the night is over. Most people who experience this progression accept it as one of the clearest signals of biological aging. Not a disease, not a disorder, simply the natural contraction of something that used to be abundant, and is now, by the logic of time, becoming scarce. They adjust their expectations. They go to bed earlier to compensate, and they carry the cumulative tiredness, accepting this diminishment as the reasonable cost of having lived long enough to experience it. I want to challenge this acceptance today, not with optimism alone, but with the specific scientific reasoning that makes the challenge credible. Because what the research on sleep and aging actually shows is not that the aging body needs less sleep. It shows that the aging body becomes progressively less capable of producing the sleep it still needs. The need does not decrease, the capacity decreases. And those are not the same thing, because capacity, unlike need, can be supported, restored, and meaningfully improved through targeted action. I am an educator and researcher in the science of nutritional biology and healthy aging. And today, I want to give you the real explanation for why sleep contracts progressively in later life, and 4 specific evening habits that have been shown to reverse this contraction in adults who apply them with consistency and understanding. We are going to move through 4 areas of understanding. First, the specific biological mechanisms responsible for progressive sleep contraction. Second, why the evening hours represent the most biologically leveraged window. Third, the 4 evening habits with their underlying mechanisms, research support, and precise implementation protocols. And fourth, the realistic timeline of improvement. Because the biology of sleep restoration in aging adults operates on a timescale that requires patience, and that the research documents with enough specificity to make that patience informed rather than merely hopeful. To understand why sleep contracts progressively with age, you need to understand the biological systems that produce sleep and how each of them changes across the decades after 60. This is not a single story about a single system declining. It is a story about 4 interconnected biological processes, each operating on its own timeline, each contributing its own dimension, and each responding to different aspects of the evening habits we are going to discuss. The first process is the deterioration of the circadian clock. The suprachiasmatic nucleus, the small cluster of approximately 20,000 neurons in the hypothalamus that functions as the brain's master timekeeper, begins showing measurable structural and functional changes after the age of 50. The suprachiasmatic nucleus begins showing measurable structural and functional changes after the age of 50. Research found that the suprachiasmatic nucleus loses a significant proportion of its neurons between the ages of 50 and 80. The practical consequence of this cellular loss is a circadian clock that runs less precisely and generates a sleep-wake cycle that loses its clean definition at both ends. In younger adults, the circadian system produces a sharp, clear distinction. In adults over 65 with deteriorated suprachiasmatic nucleus function, this distinction blurs. The alerting signal of the day does not sustain itself as forcefully through the afternoon and evening, and the sleep-promoting signal of the night does not deepen as completely or sustain itself as far into the morning. The second process is the progressive reduction in slow-wave sleep production. Slow-wave sleep is not merely the deepest stage of sleep. It is the stage during which the most critical biological restoration occurs. Slow-wave sleep is characterized by large synchronized electrical oscillations called delta waves, including the secretion of the majority of daily human growth hormone, the consolidation of declarative memories from the hippocampus to cortical storage, This stage also activates the glymphatic clearance system that removes metabolic waste, including amyloid proteins, from brain tissue. Research has documented with striking consistency that slow-wave sleep declines by approximately 2% per decade between the ages of 20 and 60, and by approximately 3% per decade after 60. By the time most adults reach their late 60s, slow-wave sleep represents less than 5% of total sleep time. The overall structure of the night has shifted from sleep dominated by the deepest, most restorative stage towards sleep dominated by lighter stages that are easier to disrupt and less biologically productive per hour spent in them. This structural shift has a compounding effect on sleep duration that is not immediately obvious. Lighter sleep is less restorative per hour. A person sleeping 6 hours of predominantly light sleep is receiving a fraction of the biological restoration. The third process is the age-related decline in melatonin production. The pineal gland, which produces melatonin in response to darkness, undergoes calcification and functional reduction with age that produces a progressive and measurable decrease in both the magnitude and the duration of the nocturnal melatonin surge. Research found that adults over 70 produce on average 75% less melatonin at night than adults in their 20s. The surge begins later and ends earlier, compressing the biological night signal into a shorter window that corresponds to a shorter period of physiological sleep drive. The sleeper wakes not because they have had enough sleep, but because the hormonal signal that would suppress waking has already withdrawn. This is experienced subjectively as natural and complete waking. The fourth process is the increasing sensitivity of the arousal system to sleep-disrupting stimuli. The locus coeruleus shows reduced inhibition from sleep-promoting systems in older adults. The locus coeruleus, which produces norepinephrine, shows reduced inhibition in older adults. This increased arousal sensitivity explains why the sleep of older adults is so easily fragmented by stimuli that were entirely manageable during younger years. Every minor disturbance becomes a potential awakening. The same sound, the same temperature fluctuation, the same digestive signal, the same slight bladder filling produces complete awakening in an older adult that would have produced only a brief EEG arousal without behavioral awakening in a younger one. These four processes, circadian clock deterioration, slow-wave sleep decline, melatonin production reduction, and arousal threshold lowering, operate simultaneously and interact with each other in ways that accelerate the progressive contraction of sleep. And all four of them are meaningfully influenced by what happens in the hours before sleep, which is why the evening hours are the highest leverage window for intervention in this age group. The reason the evening hours are so specifically important is that the biological processes that determine sleep quality are set in motion 2 to 4 hours before bed by the environmental and behavioral signals. The evening is not preparation for sleep. It is the beginning of sleep in the biological sense, even when the person is still awake. What happens in those hours shapes what the subsequent night can and cannot produce. The first evening habit addresses the circadian clock deterioration directly, working with the specific mechanism through which the suprachiasmatic nucleus receives its most powerful daily resynchronizing signal, light. The circadian clock is not self-sustaining. It requires daily calibration from environmental light input to maintain its alignment with the external day-night cycle. In adults over 65 with a deteriorated suprachiasmatic nucleus, the clock requires more precise daily calibration through light exposure to prevent the progressive phase drift that produces earlier and earlier sleep onset times. The challenge is that most modern evening environments provide the worst possible light signal for circadian calibration in older adults. The short wavelength blue light emitted by LED screens, energy-efficient lighting, and digital devices is the most potent activator, and it is received by the aging eye in a way that the circadian system interprets as continued daylight. Research from the Brigham and Women's Hospital Division of Sleep and Circadian Disorders found that evening blue light exposure suppressed melatonin onset by an average of 90 minutes and reduced total melatonin production that night by approximately 50%. In adults over 65 who are already producing 75% less melatonin than they did at 25, a 50% suppression of what remains leaves a melatonin signal that is biologically insufficient to sustain sleep through the early morning hours. The warm light protocol begins 2 hours before the intended sleep time and involves a systematic transition toward the warm, dim, amber spectrum light that the circadian system recognizes as the approach of night. Practically, this means replacing overhead lighting with lamps positioned at or below eye level, switching to bulbs of 2700 Kelvin or lower color temperature, and reducing overall light intensity progressively through the evening toward bedtime. Blue light filtering glasses worn during any screen use in the 2 hours before bed provide an additional layer of protection because individual devices produce concentrated blue light regardless of ambient room conditions. Research found that blue light filtering glasses worn in the evening increased melatonin production by an average of 58%. In adults over 65, this represents a clinically meaningful restoration of the biological sleep signal. Research from the Salk Institute found that complete darkness during sleep, achieved through blackout curtains or a sleep mask, produced significantly higher peak melatonin concentrations. The suprachiasmatic nucleus continues receiving light input through closed eyelids, and even low-level light during sleep suppresses the melatonin production. Eliminating every source of light from the sleep environment is not a minor refinement. It is a meaningful amplification. The timeline for circadian resynchronization through consistent light protocol adherence is approximately 2 to 3 weeks of nightly practice. The circadian clock does not recalibrate in a single night. It shifts gradually in response to consistent signals. The second evening habit addresses the slow-wave sleep decline through a mechanism that almost no wellness conversation for older adults ever specifically discusses: deliberately manipulating core body temperature in the 90 minutes before sleep through warm water immersion. The initiation of sleep, and specifically the entry into slow-wave sleep, requires a drop in core body temperature of approximately 1 degree Celsius from the late afternoon peak. This thermoregulatory decline is not a consequence of falling asleep. It is a physiological prerequisite for it. Immersion in warm water at 40 to 42 degrees Celsius activates peripheral vasodilation, which dramatically increases the rate of heat dissipation from the body's core to the environment. Core body temperature drops more rapidly and more deeply than it would through the normal passive evening cooling. Research published in the journal Sleep Medicine Reviews conducted a systematic review. The analysis found that a warm bath or shower of 10 to 15 minutes taken 60 to 90 minutes before bed produced a significant increase in slow-wave sleep duration. A study from the University of Texas at Austin specifically examined the relationship between warm bath timing and sleep outcomes, finding that the 90-minute window before bed was the optimal timing, aligning the nadir of the post-bath temperature decline precisely with the sleep initiation window. For adults who find full baths impractical, a warm foot bath at the same temperature produces a meaningful subset of the same thermoregulatory benefit. It is a practical partial alternative rather than an equivalent replacement. The third evening habit addresses the increased arousal sensitivity that fragments sleep through a specific and evidence-based protocol of mental decompression that reduces the baseline activation level of the arousal system before sleep begins. The arousal system operates on a principle of carry-forward activation. The level of neural arousal present at sleep onset is not reset to 0 by the act of closing one's eyes. It carries forward into sleep. Research from the Sleep Neuroscience and Cognition Laboratory at the University of California, Berkeley, found that the level of prefrontal cortex activity in the 60 minutes before sleep was among the strongest predictors of nocturnal awakening frequency in adults over 65. The first component is a worry externalization practice performed 60 to 90 minutes before bed. The goal is not to eliminate worry, but to move it from active cognitive processing to externalized storage. A specific technique with strong research support is the scheduled worry period combined with written problem externalizing. Research found that 15 minutes of structured writing produced a significant reduction in pre-sleep cognitive arousal and a meaningful improvement in sleep onset latency. The second component is progressive muscle relaxation, involving the deliberate sequential tensing and releasing of major muscle groups, directly reducing the norepinephrine tone of the locus coeruleus arousal system. The third component of the decompression routine is auditory environment management in the 60 minutes before bed. The auditory cortex remains active during sleep and continues processing sounds. Simple nature sounds, specifically recordings of rainfall, gentle streams, or ocean waves, have a specific and documented advantage. Research found that pink noise, a sound spectrum approximating natural rainfall, produced a significant enhancement of slow-wave sleep synchrony. The fourth evening habit addresses the melatonin production decline and the circadian timing dysfunction simultaneously through the specific timing and composition of the evening meal, applying a principle from the rapidly developing field of chrononutrition. The specific form matters. Tart cherry juice concentrate, 2 tablespoons diluted in water, provides a consistent and concentrated dose of the relevant compounds, aligning the rising melatonin from the dietary source. The experience of sleep progressively contracting over years has a specific psychological shape. When something has been declining gradually for 5 or 7 or 10 years, the most recent baseline feels like the normal baseline. The 5-hour night no longer feels like a deficiency. It feels like what nights are now. By week 8, his average sleep duration had extended to 6.5 hours. He described the quality of his afternoons, which had been consistently compromised by fatigue, as fundamentally different. His musical engagement had returned to something closer to the absorbed, creative quality it had before. 4 habits, 4 biological mechanisms, 1 consistent outcome, the progressive contraction of sleep, begins, gradually and measurably, to reverse. The night that has been shrinking has more to offer than resignation allows for. It is never too late to stop the contraction and begin the restoration. The night is not finished with you. Your biology has more to offer than the years of progressive contraction have led you to expect. Share this video with someone whose nights have been quietly contracting. Subscribe and stay with this channel. Every conversation here begins from the same place and points toward the same thing. You have more available to you than you have been told, and understanding the biology of why is always the beginning of what comes next. I will see you in the next one.